Hi and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aisyatul Farihah binti Ahmad Zahiruddin, Matrics number BIF4103, student of Bachelor in Islamic Finance Semester 4. In this video, I would like to present about the future of Islamic finance. So please enjoy this video. Thank you. Islamic banking and financing has gained a foothold both nationally in Muslim countries and internationally in the financial world. According to Muhammad Abdin, the Chief Executive Officer of Union National Bank, said that Islamic finance has seen significant geographical expansion in the past few years, with the new countries drafting up legislation to facilitate it. It is an ever-changing field full of innovation and growth in equal measure. There are now a lot of Islamic banks all around the world, even in the Western countries. The existence of Islamic banks in Western countries can be the indicator of the acceptance of Islamic finance by the Westerners. According to Yasushi Suzuki and Muhammad Mia, the introduction of Islamic banking principles by various Western bankers has shown positive results that indicate that Islamic banking system can work effectively in both developed and developing economies, regardless of religious boundaries. Responding to this increased demand for Islamic financial services and products, the number of Islamic banks has been increasing rapidly throughout the world. Moreover, in some countries, conventional banks are also offering the same or almost similar services to the customer through either opening a new branch tagged after Islamic banking branch or opening a new window named Islamic banking window. The reason for increased demand is that conventional banks find it profitable to deal with Islamic investment fund such as asset leasing fund and share dealing fund. At the same time, some conventional banks are trying to improve the management of this fund so as to compete with the Islamic banks. And according to this, we can see that there is bright future in Islamic finance industry. Islamic banks as pure financial institutions. Islamic banks will become pure financial institutions that fill financial gaps standing in the way of real economic transaction at the grassroots level. Practitioners of Islamic banking will recognize that efficiency and gains lie in specialization. They will therefore delegate to third parties responsibility for field operations in lieu of a financing transaction, of course in return for a charge. In some cases, such as taking physical possession of a thing in trade or lease-based financing, this third party may be the bank's client himself. This is likely to happen because economies of scale enjoyed by third-party specialized institutions will reduce operational costs for the banks. In the end, one expects Islamic banks institution to touch the economic landscape only on financial plane, which is become pure financial institutions while acting as economic agent. Islamic banks will primarily be economic institutions. Islamic banking will be ethical banking. As first, Islamic bank will stay away from financing Sharia prescribed activities such as producing alcohol or financing speculative activities. Next, there will be transparency in their transaction with the clients, which is depositors as well as fund seekers, due to compliance with the Sharia ahkam on gharar. Islamic banks will also contribute to social welfare of the economy to the extent ahkam on zakah will apply to them. But beyond this, generally they shall be pure economic institutions established by their owners for profit earning. Of course, individually some Islamic banks may specialize in participatory modes of financing modes due to some religious convictions of their owners, but there is no Sharia compulsion for this. Islam allows banks to exploit all halal ways to their advantage, of course subject to willing consent of the all concerned in a given transactions. Standardization of Islamic financial products. Standardization is necessary and it is bound to happen. This is because the world is a global village. Customers' consciousness and competition among Islamic banks will lead to standardization of Islamic financial products. Ultimately, barring exceptional circumstances when large and long-term fund commitments and or a lot of financial engineering is involved, only price competition will rule in the Islamic banking industry. Structure of Islamic finance industry. Islamic finance industry is likely to be divided into normal banking institution, development finance institution, microfinance institution, mutual funds and life insurance companies and their other equivalents. Development finance institutions will specialize in financing based on divisible and tradable financial instruments to address sizable financing needs with long maturity periods. Microfinance institutions shall emerge not only for economic consideration but also as part to government strategy to exploit the potential of microfinancing for poverty alleviation. There will always be return-conscious depositors who want maximum flexibility in investment and withdrawal of funds. Accounting and maybe other cost consideration at the level of the normal banks will give rise to the institutions like mutual funds or unit trusts. The quest for maximum responsiveness to the client will force this institution to operate only in the secondary market, such as Islamic stock market for Islamic shares and Islamic money market for divisible and tradable Sharia-compliant financial instruments. Life insurance companies and their other equivalents such as employees' provident funds and private pension plans are likely to emerge on the Islamic financial scene in order to provide avenues for long-term capital accumulation to the people. The existing Islamic takaful model is expected to be working model for these financial institutions. According to the news reported in Berita Harian on May 18, 2021 by Mahanum Abdul Aziz, Islamic banking in Malaysia continues to grow rapidly despite the challenging environment of the COVID-19 pandemic, and there are great prospects for the country to contribute new talent in the Islamic finance industry. Chief Executive Officer of Chartered Institute of Islamic Finance Professionals CIIF Dr. Azura Othman said the main factor in the resilience of the Islamic banking sector was based on the principles of Islamic finance itself, which is risk and reward sharing. In addition, the teachings of Islam strongly encourage the principle of equity in any financial transaction. Empowered by this principle, Islamic-centric banks and Sharia methods are very far-sighted in preparing for various high-risk situations such as COVID-19 and ensuring that it is effective. The analysis reported by Fitch Ratings expressed confidence that some sectors of the economy will continue to grow despite facing pandemic challenge. Among them is the Islamic banking sector. The report does further reinforce the fact that Islamic banking is well prepared to face various economic crises, and it is further strengthened by the element of flexibility of the Islamic banking sector compared to conventional banking. According to the international research agency Pew Research, the number of Muslims in the world has doubled from the world's population itself. By 2060, there will be an estimated 3 billion Muslims in the world, an increase of 70% over 2015. Whether they are in Asia, Europe, West Asia, or the African continent, the next generation of Muslims will have two similarities, namely young age and evolving technology. Azura said CIIF saw an opportunity to expand the long-term potential of the Islamic banking industry and great prospect for Malaysia to contribute new highly skilled talent in the field. She said Islamic banking emphasized on several important elements such as high industry standard, sophistication of knowledge, and quality of services with great integrity. Financial innovation in critical areas. Progress of Islamic banking will depend on its ability to innovate in the following areas. First, financial instrument yielding stable income flows for orphans, widows, pensioners, and other weaker segments of the society. Next, financial instrument for meeting government's financing needs. Cover or security for financing, in particular Sharia-compliant alternative for penalty on payment defaults. And lastly, formulas for pricing of Islamic financial products. Competition. Islamic banks should be ready to brace not only intra-industry competition but also inter-industry competition from interest-based banks. The competition is likely to grow. Misuse of Islamic banking. Unless there are effective checks and monitoring, vested interests may use Islamic banking to bypass the ahkam on riba. For instance, in the existing murabahah financing, banks do not directly come into the picture as buyers from the would-be suppliers. This gives dishonest fund seekers a window for getting credit from the bank through fictitious purchases. Moreover, without effective checks and monitoring, some bankers under financial pressures may be tempted to provide funds through dummy transactions. As a conclusion, Islamic finance holds a bright future, but in order to reach that future, there are few obstacles and challenges. The system provided by Islamic finance shall be standardized all over the world with certain modifications. It may seem hard to be done because different countries has different religious code, but yet it is possible to be done. Furthermore, when we talk about Islamic finance nowadays, everyone is starting to have an idea of it, even among the non-Muslims. United Kingdom even claims that by years they will be the leading hub in Islamic finance. By looking at the growth of Islamic finance, we can say that it held a very bright future, as it is possible to replace the conventional finance because it keeps increasing by year. The West also starting to adapt Islamic finance because they see the potential in its principles and systems. Malaysia can be the reference country if other countries want to endorse the Islamic finance, as it already owns a legal framework and standards to be followed. So, Islamic finance can be said to hold an outstanding future, but there are still a lot of works need to be done. Here are some references that I used in this presentation. Thank you for watching.